One of my favorite movies of all time is Boyz in the Hood. Let's talk about it.
It's called Boyz in the Hood. A vivid movie about life in South Central LA is about to hit theaters nationwide, and police are fearing the worst. Tomorrow, a new movie is set to open, Boyz in the Hood. It's about life and gangs in South Central LA. Good evening, everyone. I'm David Jackson.
And I'm Larry Carroll in for Pat Harvey. Here's what's happening in prime time. It's been announced tonight that some theaters that will show Boyz in the Hood this weekend plan to beef up security. That's to make sure the film does not touch off a rash of gang violence.
People here at this movie theater told me just a few minutes ago they have pulled the movie indefinitely. And as you can see on the marquee behind me here, it is Thelma and Louise that is playing right now. There is no mention anywhere in any advertising of Boyz in the Hood.
Boyz in the Hood came out in 1991. I was 13 years old. Los Angeles in 1991 was a rough place to live for civilians, for gangsters, all the above. I believe it would be the following year, 1992, where we would see upwards of 2,500 homicides that year. It was really, really crazy at that time. The blue team were fighting the red team, and the streets were on fire. Most of America didn't really know what was going on in Los Angeles until this movie, Boyz in the Hood, came out.
As it played, violence broke out in a half dozen cities across the country as rival gangs clashed inside and outside the theater.
Now, Boyz in the Hood obviously was named after a very popular Eazy-E song, right? The boys in the hood are always hard. We know it. Come talking the trash, we'll pull your card. Knowing nothing in life but to be legit. Don't quote me, boy, cause I ain't said. We all know the song. John Singleton. This was an amazing debut for director John Singleton. He initially developed this film as a requirement for his film school back in 1986. He ended up selling the script to Columbia Pictures when he graduated in 1990. And while he was writing this classic movie, he drew inspiration from his own life and from the lives of people he knew. Now, not only did he write this, he wanted to direct it. In his own words, he didn't want some dude from Boise, Idaho or Encino telling his story.
It was a revelation. I mean, people were just enjoying it. I remember when I was shooting in my neighborhood in Inglewood, in the area called the Bottoms, where I'm walking around on a set with all these people, and people are like, "What you doing here, man?" And I was like, I'm working on this. And they said, "What you doing?" I said, "I'm the director." "You the director? You the director?" I said, "Yeah, I'm the director." Yeah. I said, "What?" They like come out, everybody come. Look, John directed. He directed.
Production began, and the rest is history. Apparently, Ice Cube was always meant to be Doughboy.
Acting, felt like a fish out of water, but I caught on.
The Doughboy character was written for Ice Cube, according to John Singleton, who has since passed away. R.I.P. to John Singleton. Let's give a little moment of silence to John Singleton. Rest in peace.
John Singleton, he's a 22-year-old brother. This is his first movie. He just graduated out of USC. He does a movie about South Central Los Angeles. He's from South Central Los Angeles. So the story is very sincere, and it hits home. That's why I did it, and he worked with me a lot.
I'm going to go on and light up my J. I got my beer. Got a couple brewskis sitting on cold ice right now. And I'm going to talk about one of my favorite movies, man. I love doing this. I love talking and going in depth of my favorite movies. And Boyz in the Hood is right up there. I remember when the movie came out. I watched it on VHS. I wasn't able to watch it in the theaters, but I did watch it on VHS, and I had to watch that thing 100 times the year it came out. I did back then, and to this day, I still know that movie like the back of my hand. But it's a great movie. And it was a success. I mean, it made like $60 million, something along those lines. It has obviously since grossed way more, but back then $60 million was not too bad for a movie that especially cost, maybe a few million dollars to make. But this is also Ice Cube's acting debut.
I wanted to talk to Arsenio because I wanted him to have, Easy and NWA on. Here come John Singleton. Yo, you're Cube, huh? Yeah. What's up, man? Watch out. What's up? And he's like, yo, man, I'm a junior at USC, and you perfect for my movie.
And if you ask me, Cube did a great job. You would have thought that Ice Cube was a seasoned actor. Well, he kind of was, if you think about it, because he was portraying an image in NWA that was not really him. Ice Cube, and this is no knock on Ice Cube. I mean, the story's out there. Everybody knows this. But Ice Cube had a good upbringing. He had parents. He went to a nice school. By all accounts, he was a good kid. Then comes NWA, and he decided to change his image. So I guess he has always kind of been an actor. I would say the NWA years definitely set him up for his acting debut in Boyz in the Hood. He did a great job. I didn't really like Cuba Gooding Jr.'s acting in this. I thought Cuba Gooding Jr. was, for lack of better words, he was probably the worst actor in the movie. And it's so ironic because he ended up being one of the most famous actors out of the bunch, aside from Ice Cube. I mean, he went on to do Jerry Maguire. He did a bunch of serious movies. He did some comedies. But even if you watch Boyz in the Hood nowadays, you kind of see that. I don't know, in my opinion, Cuba Gooding Jr., the one who played Trey, I don't think he didn't really, his acting chops was kind of whack. He was the weakest link, if you ask me. Just my personal opinion.
I can learn if you teach me.
But the movie opens up in 1984. And I do believe that was the working title for Boyz in the Hood, or the original title that John Singleton came up with was actually Summer of 1984. But then this movie ended up being called Boyz in the Hood, but it was originally called Summer of 1984. And that is when the movie starts. 1984. Trey Styles and his buddies, Doughboy, Lil Chris, they decide to go check out a deceased body.
Y'all want to see a dead body?
Yeah.
And that's such a powerful opening scene. Because you know what? That type of stuff happens in the hood all the time. Kids in the hood see things way before they should see. You should never see a deceased body as it is, right? Unfortunately, no, at least as a kid. But in the hood, these are the things that happen. And that's why as people grow up who live in that environment, they become numb to certain things. I mean, you're seeing a body at 10 years old? So, let's see. Trey gets in trouble. They have the whole African booty scratcher. I ain't from Africa. I'm from Crenshaw Mafia.
Like it or not, you from Africa.
And they did name a couple of gangs in this movie, but none of the main characters were associated with the gangs. I mean, they mentioned Roland. You must be one of them Roland 60 mother. All right, that's later on down the movie. I'm getting kind of ahead of myself, but I ain't from Afro. I'm from Crenshaw Mafia. What do you say? You like it or not, you from Africa. And he said, I get my brother to beat you up. I get my daddy. Yo, daddy punk. At least I got one, mother. See, I'm telling you guys, I know this movie like the back of my hand. So anyway, Trey Styles gets in trouble at school. He's walking down the, he gets kicked out. He's walking down the street. There's some dudes playing dice. They end up, fighting in front of him. And he's just trying to make his way home as his mother, Angela Bassett, who is one of the finest females on the planet. I love me some Angela Bassett, man. Angela can get it. But she's on the phone with the teacher or the principal or whatever, going back and forth. Trey has his last chance at getting in trouble, so he is sent to live with his daddy in South Central Los Angeles.
Trey is going to live with his father.
His father?
Yes, his father. Or did you think we made babies by ourselves?
And then we see his friends Doughboy, Lil Chris, right? And they get into kid trouble. They eventually, Lil Chris and Doughboy get arrested for stealing, right? And Lil Chris and Doughboy, they don't have father figures. Trey in this movie is the only one who has a father figure. Think about that for a second. That's really sad because that was a turning point. 80s, 90s, when fathers weren't around as much as they used to be. Back in the 50s, 60s, 70s, most kids had a father. Most black kids had a father in their home, even the ones that lived in the hood. Most kids had a father in the home. Fast forward to 1984, 1986, 1988, 1991, 1992 when this movie, 1991 when the movie was released. Most black kids didn't have a father in the home. And that was portrayed so well in this movie. Because Lawrence Fishburne played a great father figure.
Trey, you may think I'm being hard on you right now, but I'm not. What I'm doing is I'm trying to teach you how to be responsible. It's like your little friends across the street, they don't have anybody to show them how to do that. They don't. You're going to see how they end up, too.
Lawrence Fishburne, I was like watching that, like, damn, I wish Lawrence Fishburne was my dad. Back then, because, Pops wasn't around that time of my life. Whammy, blah, blah, blah. But yes, I was looking at Furious Styles like, man, that's a good father figure. So even as an 13 years old, I understood that. I understood where they were going with the movie. But Lil Chris, Doughboy, they end up, like I said, getting arrested. And then the movie fast forwards to a party. And this is a party because Doughboy, who is played by Ice Cube now, older, just got out the pen. 3 hots and a cot. And they're playing dominoes around the table. And we get introduced to Dookie, who is sucking on a pacifier. And looking back now, 2024, you might think like, what the hell? That's so weird. That's so weird. But there was a very small time between 90, 91 during the rave era, during the Hauser era, where people walked around with pacifiers. I know it sounds weird, and it was a very short fad. So if you don't know, you don't know. But it was a very short fad where people walked around with pacifiers. I had one. It was a pacifier wrapped around your neck and you would suck on it. Like it was the weirdest fad ever. Look, dude, we talk shit about the fads that these kids have today, man. We had some dumb fads too in the 90s and 80s and 90s. So I can't even hate on what you kids do today with your weird dresses and whatever you guys paint your nails. I can't even trip on that because we were doing weird stuff back then, sucking on pacifiers. Dookie was sucking on a pacifier. And first of all, the name Dookie? Nah, homie. Dookie? No. If I'm in a gang or if I'm part of a set or a hood and the day comes where they're like, all right, dog, we're going to name you. What should we name him? What should we name him? Name him Dookie. Hell no. Nah, homie, nope. I'm catching that fade. I got to catch a fade. You can't call him. Nah, I'm not. like Dookie means Dookie, right? Dookie doesn't mean anything else other than what it is. It's shit, right? That's what Dookie means. So nah, homie, nah, you ain't naming me Dookie. I'm catching that fade, or you got to put me off the set. I'm not walking around being called Dookie. Girls be like, why is his name Dookie? Cause he smelled like Dookie. Shut up, nigga. Nah, I'm not arguing. I'm not explaining my name. None of that, dog. So anyway, we meet Dookie and his pacifier, and we also get reintroduced to Chris, Lil Chris, who was the one that got arrested with Doughboy shortly before they fast forwarded. And this time, Chris is in a wheelchair. And right away, watching that at 13, I got it. Boom. Chris was involved in gang activity, or he was at the wrong place at a wrong time. But shout out to them, man. All throughout the movie, they carried Chris's ass around a lot. Like, where they had that 6'4", I was like, where did they put his wheelchair? Man. Anyway, we'll get to Chris later. But yes, we get introduced to everybody. We also get reintroduced to Trey, played by Cuba Gooding Jr.
He go to Washington? He go to Crenshaw.
Few girls at the party, including Yo-Yo, one of my first crushes. Oh, I love me some Yo-Yo, and I recognize Yo-Yo right away. Yeah, she's in that scene with those 3 girls. Go back and watch if you didn't know. Yo-Yo is right there with her fine ass. And then you got old girl. What's her name? She had the braids. Oh, it's going to bother me because I loved her character. The one that said, you better go to the store and give me a 40 ounce with that shit. What was homegirl's name? Comment down below. I can't believe. Regina King. Man, how could I forget the homegirl Regina King, man? She ended up becoming one of the more popular actors. And she went on to do a lot of work. And she played a great character in this. She played a great hood rat. Regina King played a great hood rat in this movie. She was the opposite of Ice Cube's character. And my favorite scene is when they're standing on the porch, right? Drinking the 40 ounce. And then Regina finishes the 40, hands the bottle back to Cube, and Cube said, you better take your ass to the store with that. When Trey was leaving the party with the food in his hand, and the red car pulls up.
What up, punk? What up, fool?
Called him a mark and all that. Mark doesn't get used a lot. I still hear Buster, but I don't hear Mark. Buster was big back in the 90s too, but Mark, I don't hear that word too much. But what up, Mark? He called him a Mark. Mark was like, you're a Buster. But little known history about the guy who was part of that, part of the Bloods in that red car. I'm going to tell you the history of one of them later. It's going to blow you away. The guy who shot Ricky, his story, his real life story, like the real person, that not the actor, but the real person behind the actor or whatever, you know what I'm trying to say. His story is amazing. Yes, the Bloods would assume to be Bloods. They never said they're Bloods. There was never any but there was red. There was always red, right? And then even later on in the movie, they were wearing red. So like anybody who grew up, they're like, okay, they're the red team. They're the red team. All right. So they pull up on him, pull the gun, and now we get introduced to the nemesis of the movie, right? They come back later to haunt the movie. But let's see what happens next. We get introduced to Ricky. I can't forget about Ricky. Man. R.I.P. Ricky. And spoiler alert, if you haven't seen Boyz in the Hood, it's been 35 years. Sorry, spoiler alert. Ricky died. Ricky died, man. Ricky died. They killed Ricky, man. That was the saddest thing in but up to that point, that was the saddest thing I ever saw in a movie was Ricky getting popped, bro. Ricky! Yeah, so we get introduced to Ricky, who is Ice Cube's or Doughboy's brother, and he is the favorite son. The best way to put it is he is the favorite son. Mama loves her Ricky, man. Mama loves Ricky, right? Ricky is the star high school football player. Good-looking dude. He's about to have a baby. Young father. And the chick that played his girlfriend in that movie, she was a cutie pie too. I remember back in the day thinking she was pretty fly also. Little dark skin, little almond joy mounds, but yeah, I didn't see her too much in. Oh wait, she was in another movie. She was in Class Act with Kid and Play. I remember her fine butt being in that movie also. But yeah, we get introduced to Ricky, man, star football player, mama's favorite. You know, him and Ice Cube throughout the movie, they have their friction. You know what I'm saying? Because Cube is the screw up in and out of prison. I keep saying Cube. Doughboy is the screw up, in and out of prison. And meanwhile, Ricky is the one who gives mama no problems. Ricky ain't giving mama no problems. Ricky goes to school, and bless Ricky's heart, he's trying to pass school, but he just don't got it all up there. So he barely getting a 2.0 or something like that, right? Like he's at like a 1.8 or something. I don't know. But Ricky didn't have too much smarts up there. Hey, there's nothing wrong with that. Huh? That's why God created football. So people like Ricky can excel in other ways. So Ricky is excelling in football, and he is really excited about the possibility of going to a big college. And everybody knows the movie, so I'm not going to go step by step into the movie, but I do want to tell you about a few things. Now, the gentleman who played the guy who shot Ricky, his name is Lloyd Avery, and his story is amazing. Amazing. I've done a special on this already, and I'll post a link in the description so you can check out my full story just on the guy who shot Ricky, because his story alone is amazing. The real life story of the person who played the actor who shot Ricky. It's amazing. Lloyd Avery. He grew up in a really nice neighborhood. He went to Beverly Hills High School. We all know Beverly Hills, right? Speaking of Beverly Hills, R.I.P. to Shannon Doherty, bro. Damn, Brenda from 90210, man. R.I.P. to her. But Lloyd Avery, he grew up with the silver spoon. Great family. And he gets this role in Boyz in the Hood as the guy who popped Ricky. And he literally, in his real life, he embodied that character. Kind of like a lot of people say Tupac did with Bishop and Juice. Lloyd Avery, the person who plays the guy who shot Ricky, he joined the Bloods. He joined the Red Team. He ended up joining the Red Team. Yeah, you heard that right. He joined the Red Team. Not only that, he was involved in many altercations with weapons that ended people's lives. He hurt a lot of people. He took on this character. Well, he actually got arrested for some crimes and spent time in one of America's most dangerous prisons of all, Pelican Bay. This actor, yes, the guy who played Ricky Shaw, yeah, he ended up going to prison in real life for situations he committed as a gang member. So while he was locked up, Lloyd Avery, and you can look up his story, it's well known. Everything is out there, ladies and gentlemen. I ain't giving y'all no new information, but if this is the first time hearing this, dope. Once again, go down to the link in the description. I'll put it down there of the special I did specifically on this guy. But he was in prison, and he started getting closer to God. Started praying, and really mentally just changed his life. He was still in prison, though. He would go around and spread the word about the coming of Jesus Christ and how we should all repent for our sins. And he was just pumping up the word of the Bible. He has a cellmate. This is all true stuff. He had a cellmate who he would constantly go at it with because his cellmate was a Satanist. That's right. His cellmate was a Satanist. So his cellmate would do weird things, prayers. I mean, Christianity can be weird too, you know, so I shouldn't say weird. Weird to Lloyd Avery. So long story short, because I don't want to give you the full story, I want you to check out the link in the description or go do your own research, but they get into it and the Satanist ends the life of Lloyd Avery. The guy who played the guy who shot Ricky in Boyz in the Hood. Lost his life, took his last breath in prison. Crazy story, huh? Crazy story. But you know what? As I was telling this story, I thought about my favorite character. My favorite character. I really liked Monster. I liked Monster's character. Monster was a great character. Monster made me believe. I believed Monster. I believed Monster was a G. Come to know he was just a really good actor. But Monster, I felt so happy at the end. And keep in mind, I'm a 13-year-old ding dong, so I'm cheering on black on black, you know, ending of life. But I remember at the end, man, watching Monster. When Monster took out Homeboy, he said, "Hit the lights, nigga." And then boom, Monster just boom, and it popped Homeboy, and then Cube walked up on him. "Turn your punk ass over." And then boom, because they took Ricky, man. They took Ricky, bro. And Lil Chris showed up late when they shot Ricky. Because Lil Chris had the wheelchair. They didn't throw they didn't throw Lil Chris in the back of the lack, man. In the back of the Impala, man. So Ricky got there like 3 days later. I mean, Chris got there like 3 days later. Anyway. But it was a great ending to me. Because after what happened at the burger joint, where they got their revenge, it's the next day, it's the morning. Cube is out slanging rocks, telling old girl to keep her damn baby out the street. That was a sad part of the movie. That movie, too, had me messed up. And that was another... This movie was really good at depicting what was going on in the hood, because typical crackhead, man, cracked out in the house while her baby is in the middle of the street. But anyway, at the end, you know, Cube is out serving. Doughboy, not Cube, Doughboy is out serving. Trey walks up to Doughboy. And just before then, Trey got out the car. Man. See, I'm Trey, dude. I'm getting out the car, bro. I'm not even getting in the car in the first place. Hey, I'm sorry, dog. You got to go handle your scandal, dog. Yeah, I'm getting out the car. But Trey got out of the car. He didn't want to go and deal with what was going to be dealt with, letting the red team have it that night at that burger joint. Well, they were talking about Samson and their hair and all that, their Jerry curls and shit and pop. But yeah, so Trey and Cube start talking at the end, man. And Cube has a great line about watching the news and how the news was talking about a lot of stuff, but they didn't have one story on his brother Ricky. They didn't have one story, not one news story. High school football prodigy going to USC, popped in an alley. None of that. They didn't, and that was such a powerful. Man, just even thinking about this now as a man damn near 50 years old, that is such a powerful ending. He even says, either they don't know, don't show, or don't care about what goes on in the ghetto. I will never forget that line for the rest of my life. Even if I ever get Alzheimer's, I'm never going to forget that line. Either they don't know, think about that. Either they don't know, they don't show, or they just don't care about what goes on in the hood. As a man pushing 50 years old, I think it's they don't care. They know what goes on in the hood. They just don't care. And you know why? Because we do it every day. We're exterminating ourselves. And when I say we, I'm talking about people of color. We are exterminating ourselves at levels never seen before. And what are they going to do? Do 7,000 news stories a year on it? That's the sad reality. We're taking each other out so much that it's not even a news story anymore. But hey, let a white dude take one of us out and the whole country bands together and we got to march for this and cops are bad and blah, 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 blah. But when we kill each other, it's nothing. Nothing to see here, right? We have so many problems within our community that we need to fix, and that is right up there. That and fatherhood. Black fatherhood. Going back to Lawrence Fishburne, Furious Styles, being an awesome representation of fathers in this movie. Teaching his son about gentrification. I mean, dog. Shout out to Furious Styles, man. Furious Styles was the shit. But comment down below, who was your favorite character in the movie Boyz in the Hood? I think mine was Monster. Just looking back, mine was Monster. But then, looking back as a logical 50, man in his late 40s, I like Lawrence Fishburne. I like Furious Styles' character. He was a real man.
Peeling will keep your dick from falling off.
Thank you so much for checking out the show. I really do appreciate you guys. Please hit that like button if you haven't already. Please just go on and smash it right there if you don't mind. That really helps out the algorithm. I do really, really appreciate you. Please hit that like button. And also, if this is the first time joining the channel and you like what you hear, please hit that subscribe button. I mean, I do this every Saturday live, 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, every Saturday, right here on my channel. And as always, if you can't catch it live, just check it out on the playback. I also have a second channel right here on YouTube that I'm going to ask you guys to subscribe to. It's Dusty Vision Radio, right here on YouTube, Dusty Vision Radio. Please subscribe to my second channel. I'm almost at 3,000 subscribers. And I'm trying to blow that bad boy up over there. I'm also on Rumble. Please subscribe to me on Rumble. That is the Rumble app. RUMBLE, Rumble. Please subscribe to Dusty Vision TV, all one word. You can also follow me on Instagram and Facebook. And I don't do TikTok because that shit is the feds. I'll talk to you guys soon. Peace.